The hunger protest is just one of the results of economic challenges that due to bad policies. And I can also tell you that some of the effects of economic challenges is something that is quite visible in our society, which is inflation. I think we're having one of the highest inflations that we have ever experienced in a long time in Nigeria. It also results into unemployment. That is what economic challenges could also plunge the nation into. And right about now, the employment rate is quite higher than ever before. Poverty has increased in the country. Inequality, whereby the income is not equally distributed in every sector of the economy, and we also have economic growth slowdown. That is the reason why our country in the last 7 years has been plunged into recession more than once. We also have debt crisis. We should also, as a Nigerian, it's always very important that we try to get more information about the state of the nation, because currently Nigeria is in a lot of debt, and we also have deficit. So basically means that the things that we export compared to the things that we import is nowhere. The ratio of our importation is quite higher than the one for our export. So when that happens, you always have a deficit. We also have currency fluctuation, which we already know with the rise and the fall of dollar, naira and to dollar frequently. That is also a factor and the result of economic challenges. We also have corruption and political instability, which we are not new to. So, what prompted this protest from the youth? You can see that in all of the things that they are being crying about. Most, some, if not most of them, is based on the fact that they want some economic reforms, and these are the things that the youth of today have understand that if the country keeps heading this way, it will be difficult in on the long run to come out of whatever uh, 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 deep we have found ourselves. And that's the reason why the reason or the criteria or the things that they brought out that needs to be done before this protest can actually stop. They highlighted it out to the people, and that is what we'll be discussing today to see if it's possible or it's feasible. My name is David Omonokwe. Welcome on board. Moving forward, below the youth of the hunger protest, they talked about a 12 point agenda that the government must heed to before this protest must stop. And um, they were 12 in number, means it's a high number. There are a list of things that they want to be worked on in the country. And I think some of the things that I will be talking about today hinges in every sector and every arm of the government. So the first one on the list is they talked about reverting petrol pump price to 100 naira per liter. Is it possible? It's a relative um, uh, point of discourse, because in the sense that the country, the fuel price are not the same price that it used to be before. So that kind of decrease the revenue the country generates on the side of the oil sector, and that in a way affects the government in a way. But regardless, we are one of the few oil producing countries in the world, and we're not supposed to be paying that high, you understand, for something that we know we generate in our country. So imagine a country like Angola, other oil producing countries like Egypt, Tunisia, the Northern Africans, bringing out, generating their own oil, but yet their citizen has to or have to pay a humongous amount for them to access something that they have in them. So, in a way, it kind of doesn't feel right. So now the fuel around in nationwide sells for 650, 750. Is it okay compared to the minimum wage we have? I think that is too much compared to the prices of house rents, water bills, transportation, feeding, and the cost of domestic products that we have around. So these things, I think, they have a good cause to try to say that they want the fuel price reduced, because that will help in terms of transportation. It will also help in terms of increasing production. You understand, to earn, to generate revenue. So 100 naira, I feel this part is up for negotiation. It can be negotiated where the government can come find a common ground, but definitely not 650 or 750. That's way high. If you have the fuel just like we have it in 650, 750 right now, that's where you have the cost of transportation quite quite high. Where, for example, a place where you would usually pay 100 naira just to get there, now we feel around 650 to 750. You have to pay twice as much. And if you do that compared to how much you earn, that will kind of increase your expense for the month. So I think it's reasonable that the government think about that and try to work with that. Another thing they talked about is the combat insecurity and hunger, which is the themed name of the protest. Yeah, insecurity is something that is no longer news to anyone. We can all see that in every corner of the country we have insecurity problems. The east, we have the the problem, insecurity problem of gunmen attacking. In the north, we have the bandits, we have the ISWAP, we have the ISIS, and also in the west, we have kidnappers and south side as well. So these are problems that the government has to ensure to that these things are being looked into and are being worked on, because people don't want to have that fear of going out, trying to travel, and they also have that fear that they could be kidnapped on the way or they could be robbed. But if the government must ensure that they work with the force so that they can, in a way, uh, 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 preserve or safeguard the lives of the citizens and their properties. Hunger in the land is something that is equally very important, and that's the main reason why we the youth, we are outside there, we are protesting, because the government has to do something about the hunger. I think the only time a man can be fit to do whatever work he or she wants to do is when they have eaten. So it's quite important that you give the people food. And we can all see that there's scarcity of food in the country due to the fact that, due to the farmers and herders issues that has lingered for years, therefore decreasing production of foods in the country. So this has, in a way, created scarcity of food in the country. So that is also another issue that the government must work with, and it's quite similar to the insecurity issue, because when the herders prevent all these isolated group of herders who are not doing the things that headers are known to do, attack these farmers, then definitely is something that the government must try to ensure that farmers are priorities. Farmers' lives are also put in priorities. So that is the second one. And the third one, they talked about close all IDP camps and resettle the campus. Yeah, this also comes out from the fact that we have insecurity problems, and we have known that places in the northern part of Nigeria have been affected mostly with this, and they have, in that reason has created a lot of IDP camps in the northern part of Nigeria, and it's something that we must try to find a way to reduce that. So when we tackle the insecurity, we must ensure that these people, that their homes have been burnt, their homes have been affected, we try a way to integrate them back into the society and try to work with them and create homes for them so they can feel also that they are Nigerians and they can benefit from their land. So it's very, very important. It's one point raised that I totally agree on. The fourth one is the total electoral reform. Absolutely. We all know what happened last year in the 2023 general election, where allegedly some part of the people feel aggrieved that a certain candidate of theirs was actually defrauded. So for us to curb those instances where we don't have transparency in our electoral reforms, I feel like we should work on that and see if there can be a level playing ground for all politicians, and that way everyone can feel free that truly the result of the day was truly the reflection of the people. So yes, that is a very, very important one. I really don't want to go into the issue of the electoral issues concerning the 2023, because it's something that has come, and although it still affects a lot of people in a way, we also have to look forward and see how we can do better in creating a better electoral organization in the future. So the fifth one also talked about the independent probe into the electoral budget of 355 billion. Yeah, with the way the elections last year played, it was very hard to see that such amount was budgeted for that, and it didn't deliver on the budget, because we are talking about 355 billion naira in for the electoral organization, and still we still had cases of electoral fraud, violence, in a way, a kind of the RVs, the IRF, the one, the electoral facilities that are meant to to give us authentic results, and in a way it didn't come to party on that day. So it's something that we have to also go back to and ensure that these things don't repeat itself again. And number six talks about the immediate release of NSAS protesters still in this detention. Yeah, I believe that the NSAS protesters, whoever is in the prison based because of the NSAS protesting, should not be, because it's a long time. It has been a long time, and the fact that there is still a talk that there are some people in that prison for exercising their human rights is totally wrong. And if as much as there's any in the prison right now with due to the answers protest, I think they should be released. I advocate that though whoever it is, wherever they are, they should be released immediately. And number seven talks about the implementation of the minimum wage to 300,000. Um this is another open discourse, like one that is up for negotiation. It's also one I think that we can come to common ground, because the government on the other hand are also saying that they do not have the capability to pay the amount that the people wish for them to pay. So therefore it has been one issue that has lingered for a very long time, even to the point that we had the Nigeria Labour Congress had a nationwide strike sometime last month or 2 months due to that. And I recently just came at the agreement of 70,000 naira as the new minimum wage amount. And I also like to uh, say that I think the people are not pleased with that amount. They wish to have more. They wish to have in the range of probably 300, which they are demanding for. But I think if um, they can talk about it. I think they can find a good number, a good amount that can be suitable for the as the new minimum wage. But as we speak right now, I think with the news we had recently, the government had already signed that amount to law. So could it be amended? We'll just have to wait and see. The other point of agenda for the youth about the hunger protest is the compulsory free education for primary to secondary school. I think this is long overdue. This is this is an agenda or a point that shouldn't be in this list. I think it should have been already resolved from the government, because I think education right now in this present age should be something of priority for the government, and they must ensure that they have a larger population accessing free education both in the secondary primary and the secondary stage of their lives. But this is something that we have not achieved yet. Because when you look around, you find children unable to go to schools. We also have children that are unable to access free education at every stage. And the fact that we are still demanding for this to happen uh, in at a time like this, at a time where we have come to understand the importance of education, is quite disappointing, and therefore it's understandable why the youth kind of put this as part of their point agenda. And I totally agree that the government should look into that and ensure that every child is given the chance to education. Also, the ninth one is children of public holders must attend public schools in the country. I think this is a very, 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 very funny point agenda, but it's actually true. I think if you are given, as a public holder, if you are working and if you're ensuring that the people get all or the basic things that is needed for you to be for you to be educated, then you wouldn't have a need to have your kids going uh, outside of the country to obtain education, which you pledged and you made an oath to the people that you serve that you're going to ensure that you tackle or ensure that they have that aspect of amenity. But we have a case where most of our public holders have their kids studying abroad with a dilapidated state of our secondary, both our secondary and our tertiary education. So it's something that it's a very good point, and it's one that also approves their work. So if you are claiming that you are doing a lot for your constituency and demand to be re-elected, then you shouldn't have any of your kids being favored. In a way, is kind of seen as economic inequality. So you are benefiting while you are subjecting a lot into a dilapidated state of the educational sector. So yes, that is a very good one. And the tenth one that the youth required was the government must patronize made in Nigerian goods. I look around and I find that the countries, the advanced countries, they would ensure that before they allow foreign made goods into their country, they must have integrated a lot of locally made goods already to the society. But the reverse is the case over here, where especially in uh, aspects where it could have been cost effective if we had patronized locally made goods. So government must be able to patronize locally made goods, and we have locally made companies, industries over here. Yet when we try to allocate uh, some of the some of the products to public holders, we go outside and we have them imported. Those things accumulate to the high cost uh, uh, of government. Of that it contributes to the high cost of running government, and those things can be quite reduced if we encourage and we adopt the patronage of locally made goods. So in that aspect, we know some places where the government need to also invest in locally made goods. I think we also have the recent issue about the Dangote refinery saga with the federal government, and even though we're quite recently, the government have shown uh, uh, interest in cooperating with this private sector. It was a challenge to begin with, so we heard. But in a way, government have to ensure that every locally made uh, product or locally made companies in Nigeria should be patronized if they meet the standard of good production. So I think that which the government has to prioritize locally made goods first above any foreign based products into the country. And the 11th one talked about transitioning to unicameral cameral legislation. Uh, being a unicameral legislation means putting all government, merging all government parastatals together. So in this case, we are saying that rather instead of having the House of Senate and the House of Representatives, we just have a kind of parliamentary house where everyone are public holders and in a way are speakers. Well, it's a major change. It's one that is going to take a lot to achieve, and in a way, if it's achieved, it's also a good thing. And also, in a way, I find it difficult to see how we can make that change due to the fact that we have run this form of government for a very long time. So that change would kind of reset a lot of things that could hinder progress at the moment. But we could also, in a way, another alternative for that is kind of ensure that there is a we cut cost in every way in the form of governance. So the cost to have those number of people in those seats of government should be well reduced, which is cutting costs, salaries in every way, so that although we may have that good number, but it won't be taking a lot from our pockets to sustain that. So yes, in a way, I have a very an alternative opinion to that, but if that can be agreed upon, it's also not bad for the economy and for the nation. Then the last but not the least is the judicial and constitutional review. I think it's one of the most clamored point. It's one that we all, the north, east, west, south, have always clamored for, but in a way, it has always escaped official reviews most of the time. I think we are still running a constitution that was created on the society of the timing back, and it's about time that we make a constitution that reflects the present society. I think we should ensure that new reforms, new policies, new mentality are being infused into the present day constitution to reflect the modern day challenges that we're having. Because in a way, we have tried to amend so many parts in our constitution, but we have come to find out that it's not truly enough. We need a complete overhaul. We need a new type of uh, constitutional reform that comes from a modern day understanding and a modern day policy. So yes, I totally agree with this point that the youth have made, because the old one isn't working for the new ones right now. So it is up to us for to make a new one, to create a new one, so that we can be able to tackle the present day issues. And I think that these points that the youth have pointed out to the government, and it being their reasons why they are protesting, is so much important for the government to listen and try to work with them, try to look into this 12-point agenda, and try to ensure that they tick a lot of the boxes in this list, because we will definitely not be going anywhere, rather than the country would further be plunging downwards. And once we get to a point where it is very, very hard to sustain, it will definitely lead to a society of a society that is lawless, an unlawful society, and we don't want to get to that stage yet. Even though we are seeing the signs around here and there of chaos, violence, and even terrorism at some in most cases, but we need to also work together to ensure that we find a kind of spiral solution to Nigeria, to ensure that every area and every corner of the country is being worked upon, and so we can see those effects and those changes and those promises that the leaders, gave to us, why they took their oath why they swore to their oath. In this way, I feel like our voices need to be heard. The youth of this country deserve better. They deserve to be able to earn, work, earn, and also feel like they are part of a greater nation. We are not. They are not asking for too much. We are not asking for too much. All we are asking is just give us the basic things that help every youth to survive. so that we can also enjoy a country that has been given to us by God. I believe that the government can also see these and try to work with us, try to work with every youth in this country, and also reassure them, give them that confidence that that this country is heading towards a brighter future. My name is David Omunokwe, and I also want to thank you for listening to me. See you next time. Bye.